we are here back with another episode, and that'll be recording after a 6 months hiatus. And so many events have taken place, but since you get fatigued out of constant involvement in the news cycle, so you take a break and decide to come back refreshed and start with some light topics, then maybe shift to the heavier ones. So today we'll be starting with the topic of energy dependence, broadly speaking, energy dependence, electric vehicle transition, and
something that we agreed on wouldn't be that controversial as such to begin with.
Yeah.
Basically. So.
Yeah. So the Russo-Ukrainian, they named it the Russo-Ukrainian war yet?
The Ukraine war, whatever you might.
Yeah,
call
the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, and it's and the resulting sanctions and the resulting rise in fuel prices. Yeah, oil prices. So
yes,
has resulted in
cataclysmic effects for.
Yeah, it has I think it's $7.50 in per gallon in USA, and I think it has crossed 100 here also as well.
Yeah, well, it is. Is it cataclysmic for the economy, or is it just like bad?
Depends on how much
poor you are.
yeah, because how dependent are you on public transport versus private transport? Yeah.
No, like if you are a lower middle class person, who has personal transportation, well, let's say mode of who uses a personal mode of transportation like a motorcycle or a scooter or something like that, or even if you do own a car, but you are in that strata, but you cannot a sudden increase in fuel prices definitely shakes up your budget. So
I think the major impact is on those who, not on those who travel just 10, 20 or 30 kilometers per day, but on those who travel hundreds of kilometers, which mainly fuel prices resulting in the cost of products that operate on low margins, like milk prices.
Milk prices, diesel, like basically increase in the cost of diesel, right? Diesel is basically your transportation fuel.
Yeah.
So if diesel prices increase,
long distance transportation is heavily
fruits, vegetables, everything. Costs increase for all, and then even production costs for food increases, because if diesel is expensive, so is running a tractor. If running a tractor is expensive, so is the wheat, the rice, or whatever you get.
You mean to say that it should not be seen as that fuel prices will be affecting me, but rather the economy as a whole.
It'll definitely affect you, but it won't just affect you at the pump. It's going
It's not exactly in your fuel demand, but in the inflation in the other commodities. Yeah.
So that is happening, and even though and people will be noticing it. It's not like, and unless you are someone who is up there in the high rises, doesn't know what's happening in the world, and drives a Mercedes, like who can afford a Mercedes? There are two different things. Like there's two different people in India, types of rich people in India, I'd say. The one who own a Mercedes and the ones who afford a Mercedes. Like there's a distinction in that, right? If you can afford to run a luxury vehicle, that's a different thing. And when you're just buying one for the heck of it, right? That you just sold some land and you had a lot of money lying down, and you're not financially responsible, so you just buy a Mercedes something.
Yeah.
So I think those things. So there's a distinction between what you can call rich in India. So if you're like very super rich, it doesn't care like if milk costs $50 or $100. So you don't know anything about it, but somebody who does his or her budgeting, who earns like around 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs per annum, it's a lot. Like that much increase in fuel prices means like a huge chunk of their income, which they might be saving, might not be saving, or being used. Or that portion of the income is being used at something else, like fun or entertainment or something like that. It's just gone. It's being used for milk and other necessities. So
and so the solution that is the problem is that it is the nature of the problem is not that which can be solved instantaneously. So so the major solution to the energy demand is the oil dependence is shifting to electric vehicles.
It's EVs, but there's one thing that I wanted to always delve into, right? Because I think when Dr. Manmohan Singh was the prime minister, it was like around $120 a barrel, $130 a barrel, right?
Yeah, $100 for first time. Yeah.
Yeah, 100, and then it increased to 120, 130, something like that. It was like that during the end of his his tenure. So, and then still at that time, it was around what, 70 something, 72, 73 something petrol. It was
I
way
remember
less than what it is today.
it was no. The point is that it was around 50, I think.
It was by the end of it, like the maximum it reached was around 70. I remember it was like the maximum it ever reached was 70.
But the point is that the value of a dollar to rupee also changed as well. So,
but the only thing is that I cannot see. The thing is, my only question here is that how is it possible that when oil was that very much expensive, it surely trickles down to the amount of tax that the government is still taxing on the citizens. So is it that the government just started spending a lot of money on stuff? Maybe, I don't know, because of the COVID and everything. You will be the COVID crisis and everything. So you'll be spending money like crazy on stuff. But is it that the government is spending a lot of money on stuff now? Obviously it is, but like, where is that money going? There's something that keeps popping up in my mind, because it wasn't that expensive. Petrol, diesel wasn't that expensive back when Manmohan Singh was prime minister, and that was one of the major problems that this current prime minister had at that time. That it's more than woo, and why is petrol prices or fuel prices so high? And now that he's prime minister, and even when it was like what, $40-$50 a barrel, the fuel prices never went down below 60. So it's something to think about, like why the fuck did this happen, or how the fuck did this happen. So I don't know, man.
No, I'm not getting what are you trying to point
what I'm
out?
trying to point out is what the government is doing with all that money. That's my question. If you charge
government is constantly increasing its budget.
Yeah, but what are they using it at? Are you expanding
welfare
government?
schemes, nothing else.
Yeah, you're expanding government, right?
Yeah.
And are they working? That my basic
point
is like
that's the point.
That is a different conversation.
No, that's why they are getting re-elected.
Yeah, maybe.
They're a mix of digital technologies and welfare. Basically, the government is winning on its welfare scheme. BJP government is winning on the basis of its performance on the welfare schemes. So So talking to people in Uttar Pradesh, the downtrodden, they say that Yogi ji has made under Yogi ji the ration system is working so well. There is no dhandlebaji or corruption in it, and so how the ration system works is now that all the ration trucks are GPS tracked. You get ration by biometric, so there is biometric record, and the whole system has been digitized from the starting point to the end point, from the go down to the ration shop. Everything has been digitized, and the point is that it is digitized to such an extent that when the ration truck comes to the shop, all the registered members of the village are notified by mobile messages that the ration has arrived and now you can get the ration.
Right.
So
that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean,
UP politics it's just not focused. It's just not limited to welfare of the people. It's more or less also expanded or expounded by caste politics and everything.
No, the point I'm making is that basically they are providing what Congress tried to do. They are trying to do it better. That's it.
Yeah.
They are although they are much business friendlier as compared to Congress, but they are much more efficient in their welfare scheme, and that is winning them the votes.
The thing is that I think, and they have one thing that they do have on their side is technology, right?
Like the geo revolution is on their side.
Yeah, the basically the digital revolution or whatever you might call it, people getting access to internet and stuff.
Yeah,
that helped them a lot.
High speed internet, not just internet, high speed
and
internet.
that too, the access is more or less cheap. I think India is one of the cheapest countries to gain internet access in.
But among the top 20.
So that thing helped a lot. Plus that's what creates accountability, right? When there is a record for something that you cannot expunge or just
the increased transparency in the system has resulted in better outcomes.
Yeah, so that the efficiency is something that still can be always be debated upon in a government.
Yeah, it can always be done better. But the point is that see the vaccination program. In April vaccination for us adults 18 plus, the vaccination started in May.
Yeah.
And so major chunk of the population is
Vaccinated.
only I think only by April by May this time only 2 or 3 crore people had been vaccinated, and today it's almost 190 crore. So
That's a
one
good.
point if 1.9 billion doses are administered in India, which is known for its bureaucratic inefficiency, I think it's a commendable job that.
I think it was them getting the message across that you need to get the vaccination done.
Yeah,
That is something
and we didn't face much of the political resistance. That's a whole another issue that people don't care
Yeah,
about
the thing
individual
is that
rights.
even
Yeah,
the government didn't create that much of an issue for you, like
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the US or in Canada, where they were talking about passports and stuff and all that.
yeah.
All those things where they were creating problems and hurdles for which people were getting pissed off at them for, like even basically.
You know the funny thing that I found was that they created vaccine passports, but they were physical certificates, and like yeah, like our no, like our we can simply download it from the Arogya Setu app. Yeah, but if their passport gets lost, so they have to come back to the center and get a new one. So I think that how times have changed, that the thing that we should expect that India, it should take place in India, but
I'll give
yeah.
you a very good example for it.
Yeah.
And the thing is that sometimes people do take feedback. So I went to a restaurant and they asked for my vaccination certificate and they gave me a vaccination certificate. And I was a bit, I didn't like it. Like, I don't want to show you my vaccination certificate. You shouldn't be asking for it. I didn't get on my high horse or anything like that. I am vaccinated, but it's like, okay, you can look at it, but are you a fucking communist or what? Like, didn't swear at him. I was just joking with him, and he just laughed and everything. It went by, and I think so. A couple of days, many people would have complained about this, right? Like, people don't want. I don't want to show anyone my whatever. I don't need to prove anything to anyone, especially a third person. Like, handling Indian parents is enough. So, I think that helped a lot. That I think the government now, not like as a whole, but the administration as such does take feedback sometimes. Like, okay, yeah, people don't like this happening again and again, so they shelved it. Okay, you don't have to show your vaccination status at every single place. So these things, and I think the government also realized that you cannot control COVID anymore. You just have to live with it. So
when this third wave came, there was
like,
little.
I'm not writing COVID off, but it's like the government also is like
It's not
we're done with it. Kind of thing.
It's not going to Australia where the country is locked down for 2 years. See,
we're better than Australia, man. Like, poverty and everything aside, we're still better than Australia. I'm like, yeah, fine. Like, don't like the cops. Like, people don't like the Australian cops. So.
Yeah, and the one aspect that I like the most about the digital revolution is that digital transactions.
Yep.
Bhim UPI. UPI. I used to complain that the Chinese have digitized to such an extent that even they can buy street vendors are using the barcode QR system for
payments.
But when the lockdown hit and companies took advantage and everyone shifted to UPI, so I think 80 to 90% of the time you can get away without carrying any cash in the market.
I just like whenever I go for a walk and anything, I just have my phone with me.
Yeah,
that's enough.
And I don't know it's by luck or it is by deliberate effort that there hasn't been much cases of fraud yet.
There have been cases of fraud, but they are more or less towards
contained.
Yeah, more or less in the, let's say, in the buying and selling of stuff on online kind of a thing. Like we just paid you and stuff. They'll just create fake messages and stuff.
I was talking about like hackers.
That thing is not happened. Oh, thankfully. So.
Yeah, and the most important thing is that the way that the traditional shopkeepers have moved our. There is a culture of tradition that we don't like adoption technology. Yeah. So the willingness that they have shown to the market demand. So I remember a story that there is a biryani shop here in 15th sector. Yeah. So he faced two or three times that the payment didn't pass through. So he removed the QR code, and immediately I told him that it's not going to work because if everyone around you has adopted the system, you have to come back again. So 2-3 weeks I went back and again
at it.
He did a better system that he tried to persuade to give cash rather than absolutely removing the system.
Right. Okay. He'd say like, I'd prefer cash, but
Yeah,
if you're not carrying anything,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that makes
I
sense.
I immediately knew that, and this amazing thing is it has taken place just in a span of 2 years.
Yeah.
First major hit was the demonetization that led to the first wave, and then
Whatever it was, I
yeah,
don't know, man. Why was there like
yeah,
that was another time.
yeah,
I don't even. When was it? 2017.
2016,
16.
2016 November,
17.
November 8, 2016.
Oh, itna specifically you remember?
Yeah, because one of my nephews were born that day.
Okay, family member. But 8 November 2016. I didn't face that much of an issue with it, but like, I know people that faced huge problems with this thing. So
Mm-hmm.
so especially if you're poor, right, and you're taking all your salaries and everything in cash. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
a daily wage laborer, you're being paid in cash.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about the person just got fucking paid the day before, like.
Mm-hmm.
You just got paid by 5 p.m. Like, I got whatever you got, like 3,000 or whatever. And you're like, oh, what the fuck? Like, the next day, you're in line. Okay, I shouldn't laugh at it, but like, it's
Yeah.
laugh worthy. It's but
Tragic comedy.
and
Tragic
I
comedy.
also found like 3,000, 4,000 bucks and 500 rupee notes, like
Mhm.
in my grandmother's some book or something she'd kept.
Mhm.
I think a couple of years ago.
I think they are getting a huge premium on submitting the notes. I don't know.
Oh, really?
You should check out the
I want them.
RBI website. Yeah,
Acha, I
yeah.
should
They
have
are
done.
giving a huge premium on collecting those notes. Yeah, and
I'll look
plus
for it.
plus there will be collector's items. So
Yeah, maybe. But is it illegal to?
no,
own
it's
though?
not
It's
illegal.
not, right?
I mean, you cannot use it in the
In
market.
your-
Yeah, but
right, right.
it's not
It
illegal.
doesn't have a legal tender value.
Yeah,
It still was a good note though, like. Big
yeah.
press.
They shrunk the size of the
Yeah,
note,
size, yeah, it looks like a.
and also even reduce the thickness and the quality of it.
Yeah. It's just like they brought bright colors to it. That's the only.
Yeah,
You see a fucking 2,000 rupee note anywhere now? No, I don't see anywhere. Anywhere.
yeah. The denomination is so big that people just.
1,000 rupee note still is acceptable, right?
Yeah.
2,000 rupee note is something. They should have a 300 rupee note though.
You can experiment 250, 300, 500. Whatever the denomination.
Give
Is
me
there-
a
is there-
1,999 rupee note.
Yeah, when the prices are in 99, so notes should also be in 99. Yeah, keep it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, what are you talking about?
We were talking about EVs.
EVs and like independence, energy independence, right?
Yeah. And
Like,
I have talked about it previously as well. I think previous episode we talked about it that thank God India doesn't have oil.
yeah, maybe like we might be the first ones, or like we are not the first ones, but we might be the first ones to completely
Transition to
transition. But
Yeah.
still love internal combustion though.
yeah, it has its place for the enthusiasts, but
Fucking look at the Milky, man. They're like, oh, my car isn't charged. I am going to work today.
no, but in context of the general public transportation, Chandigarh has adopted the
Yeah,
EV
EV
buses.
buses.
Yeah, EV buses.
It's
are-
like, but the only thing is that your electricity for those buses or whatever mode of transportation should be coming from a cleaner source. That's it. If you're burning more fucking coal for it, doesn't make any sense. That's the only thing. That's why I think they're moving to nuclear
no,
energy.
that's the point. But another thing that needs to be kept in mind that fuel efficiency of in case even if it comes from coal or
Whatever.
whatever source, whatever non-fossil source it comes from, the energy efficiency is higher in case of EV as compared to combustion engine.
I understand. Sorry. But still, you'll still need to, if you want to go to net zero combustion, like basically net zero combustions for transportation as such,
Mhm.
if you have that target, like 2050 net zero combustions for transportation, you'll
Mm.
need to go towards, move towards, let's say, what can we call it? Like,
Electricity.
yeah,
Battery
your
powered.
electricity-
Basically
yeah,
battery powered.
Battery power. Your electricity for these EVs should be coming from someplace cleaner or clean.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Government is taking a weird. I think the best transition would be shifting to
nuclear.
nuclear for transportation, not transportation, not for nuclear. Transportation can be for nuclear can be for household and industrial purposes, generation of electricity. But what I'm talking about is in the fuel for the car. Best would be to shift to liquefy gas.
Hydrogen.
Not hydrogen, LPG and methane,
CNG.
etc. Yeah, methane.
You think
But
it's-
the problem, I have heard that methane engines don't last long.
I don't know. I don't know anything about methane though. But the one thing that I do know is that if you go for, let's say, a with a hydrogen-based fuel cell car like a Toyota Mirai,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
which they're launching. So that's something beautiful. I love that concept, right? If you get a hydrogen cell car, hydrogen fuel cell car, that'll be something. I'd love to have that.
Yeah, hydrogen has its shortfall, but still better than burning fossils. Yeah.
Fossil fuels, right? But like the Toyota Mirai, it's an amazing car. It's an amazing piece of.
No, I haven't checked it out
The
yet.
second-
I know Toyota and Honda both are very enthusiastic about.
They just came
Whole
out with this-
Japanese industry is enthusiastic about the hydrogen based.
They just came out with the second generation, and I've heard it's amazing. It's amazing.
What's the fuel? What's the range, etc.
I
Anyway.
don't remember the range. It's around 5. It's the
Yeah,
same as the Tesla Model S, something like that. So 500 something, 560
Mm-hmm.
something. So we'll have to check on it, but it's a good piece of machine, man.
Yeah, people need to know that a hydrogen-based car isn't like
You're
it's
filling up fucking hydrogen and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. The engine isn't running on hydrogen. It does electrolysis and then fuels the battery, which results in turning off the motor. It's not like LPG.
I know. It's something that people don't know and think anywho, but it's something that also hasn't been propagated largely or around the world, like people.
No,
are talking about it.
India is making investment in these areas.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it's not being taught at schools and stuff, so people don't know anything about it, right? Like if you're not being taught about a hydrogen fuel cell car, you don't know what it is. So that's the thing, and I think the only thing is the problem with it might be that it's going to be a Toyota, right? So
It's going to be highly energy efficient.
it'll be highly energy efficient. The only thing is that let's say the charm of owning a Tesla will be more than of owning a Toyota. That's the only drawback that I see, and that too isn't like a logical drawback. It's more like a
Yeah,
I think
but you think about it that how much India the Tesla lovers will still buy Tesla, but average nihilistic consumer,
average individual doesn't.
cynical
give a fuck.
individual, yeah.
The only thing is that these cars need to be affordable.
Yeah, and that's the only problem.
Yeah, if one of these fuckers cost like 30-40 lakhs Indian rupees, so in Indian rupees, sorry, well, nobody's going to buy them. A regular guy going to work, no.
No, not even on loan.
People want. Here's the thing about Indian consumers, right? Which I've learned living with and understanding people who don't have that much money. And I'm not talking about poor people. No. I'm talking about regular middle class people who might not have that much amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is that they want to look rich,
Mm-hmm.
right? They want to. So I had one of these people, one of my colleagues who was working in my previous company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has never driven a car before.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to buy a car, and I'm like, okay, you know what? You've never driven a car before.
Mm-hmm.
The sensible solution for you, and your salary isn't that much,
Mm-hmm.
so you cannot. Afford
Yeah, I got it. It can be summarized by why Nano didn't hit the road.
Yeah. So the thing is that
Car owners expect buy it as a status symbol.
something went in my. Sorry, but the thing is that I asked him like, okay, you cannot run it on petrol.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot afford petrol. Let's be honest,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to travel a lot. In the sense, more than an average Indian has traveled to and fro to their office.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to travel, like you will be driving the car for around 80 to 90 kilometers per day.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be there. So, okay, diesel is a problem because 10 years and after that you cannot drive a diesel car,
Mm-hmm.
and it's expensive as well,
Mhm.
right? So I told him, okay, and you are in the beta form of buying a car. You're in the beta version of buying a car. You haven't owned a car before. You don't know how much it costs. And I'm like, okay, it's very expensive to maintain a car in India at the salary level that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so what I suggested to him, like, buy a Wagoner or Alto 800 CNG,
Mm-hmm.
a second-hand one.
Mm-hmm.
Don't buy a brand new one.
Mm-hmm.
Just test it out if you can even afford that car for a few months,
Mhm.
right? I just told him, like, and he outrightly refused.
Mhm.
I'm not going to buy it. Do you think I'll look good in an Alto 800? Motherfucker, you don't even look good standing alone
Mm-hmm.
outside a car.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter which car you buy.
Mhm.
Won't make a difference. Think about it logically. That was my thing. Think about it logically. Car has a logistical purpose for you. Buying groceries, going to
Mhm.
the shop, going to the
Mhm.
office. Didn't think about it in that way. No. The simple answer was, ऐसे यार अच्छा लगता है यार छोटी सी गाड़ी में घूमना. That is the mentality of people who cannot afford a car right now in India. I know he cannot afford a car, but
Mhm.
he's like कि मैं खरीदूंगा तो बड़ी खरीदूंगा. He'll buy a 2006 fucking BMW run down with which is plaguing with problems every
Mhm.
single way, doesn't turn well, has a problem with its power steering, he'll buy that. But he won't be like, वड्डी गड्डी च बैठना है, वड्डी गड्डी च बैठना है,
Mhm.
छोटी गाड़ी में बैठ नहीं सकते हम, there's a problem with it. That is the mindset of the general Indian consumer. They're like, okay. And I found like 5 to 6 people in my office itself who were looking to buy a car, and there is an option where their like direct response was this: a person with kids, they won't say this. That makes sense. I'll have to pay the fees for that.
Mhm.
So I'll go with the cheaper car. So they'll do that, but a single person who cannot afford the car will still go like, I want that. I'll do that. So I think
Yeah, one thing I want to talk about is that I didn't know this previously, but you simply cannot buy a car directly by paying cash.
like in the sense on the showroom, right?
Yeah.
You cannot do that.
You have to compulsorily take it on a loan.
No, who told you that?
I mean to say that that's the only feasible option, because otherwise you have to. There can be chances of income tax problems if the car
Depends
is
on the
above,
car that you're buying.
yeah, if it's above 5 lakhs, so whole lot of income tax problems emerge. Where is the money coming from? And then you have to show all the. I mean to say that there's a whole lot of problem if you directly purchase car
Depends
by
what
cash.
your income is, right? If everything is declared already, then you can definitely buy one off the rack. Won't make a difference for you. Like if your
Yeah,
annual
but-
income is around, let's say, 2 crores, and you buy a car which costs around 50 lakhs, income tax isn't gonna hassle you. You're like, you already know that you're paying that much amount of
And
money.
there's a tax on savings.
Yeah.
What the? F-
There's a tax on everything. There's a tax on surviving in this country. That's one of the biggest fucking problems being rich. Either you are, it's the weirdest
Yeah.
concept in India, na, that for shitty services you pay so much.
Yeah, and since only 2% of the population, that's an overestimate. Yeah, 2% of the population is tax paying, so they get all the criticism, yet they are paying for everything.
It's the,
What?
everyone is a farmer, right? When it comes to paying taxes,
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
is a farmer.
Yeah,
The number of politicians who are farmers yet they are not actually farmers is like
Agric-
staggering.
and they term themselves as agriculturists.
Agriculturists,
Yeah, so
so that they don't pay tax.
yeah, it is a fraud scheme basically. Just
To
own
farmer?
yeah, to evade taxes.
Yeah.
Identify oneself as just buy a small plot of land and
become a
identify
farmer.
as a farmer, and then say, yeah, I bought this equipment, this cost me losses, and a whole lot of
Still,
bullshit.
there is no tax on the income of being a farmer. So, like, even if you
No,
make money as a farmer, you won't be paying tax.
There is no. If you are a what do you say, Artiya call? No, not Artiya.
A big
Thekedar.
farmer. Okay, if you're contracted.
If you get if so you give your farms to the Thekedar, and he'll give you at the end of the cropping period, he'll give you a particular fixed amount. So that income is taxable.
But if you are basically a farmer, like if you are on the ground, you know,
The tax is only exempted on agricultural products.
I thought you didn't pay any income tax if you were actually practicing agriculture.
No, that income. See, income. If the income comes from you,
Practicing agriculture.
yeah, you producing the crop and selling it to the on MSP or
Market.
etc. Yeah, that's not taxable. But if you give the farm on a rent to the Thekedar, and then he gives you the money, that income is taxable.
Yeah, that I understand that because now you're in the business of let's say renting.
Yeah.
Out. Now you're a renters you're in the in the renting business now. You're in the real estate business. You're not no longer in the agriculture business. But if most of the people to pay taxes, they just hire labor to do the work, and they just sit around and enjoy while they pay no income tax.
Yeah. Even some of our ministers have identified as agriculturists when they are not.
Well, you don't want to pay taxes.
Yeah.
Unless you're a bona fide lawyer.
Yeah, and one thing we're thinking about is that why is agriculture such a sacred activity? I don't get it.
Important activity though. It's not sacred. It's important.
I think it's sacred, unquestionable. It's unquestionable basically. You cannot unless you cannot convince anyone to tax agriculture farm income. You simply cannot win the argument.
People do get taxed around the world, right?
Yeah,
farmers.
but try that in India.
Rather in India, you lose states. That's
Yeah,
the only thing. That's a political
end
gambit.
of your
It's not
career.
about it's not about being logical. It's more
Yeah, these two institutions
dude, being
basically.
a doctor is a sacred job, but doctors are still taxed, right?
Yeah, yeah. although the tax compliance is very
Yeah,
highly.
whatever it is, but like they are still taxed, right?
Yeah.
Being in the military is a sacred duty. It's still taxed, right? So
Yeah, these two institutions, basically agriculture and reservation, these two have been such impunity. These two institutions have
they
in
haven't
India.
been revised with times. The thing is that they
They,
should have been specifically targeted at communities to be that needed help. That's the
yeah,
only thing. Yeah, okay, we need to help. That's the thing about. I was having a discussion with one of my friends, right? It's more towards the let's say towards the wishy-washy ideological debate instead of let's solve a problem. Like the way we make policy is more towards that ideological idea of whatever, spend money, throw money at stuff and you'll get go, whatever it is, it's socialism or whatever it is. It's not about here is a problem, let's solve it. Here is 2 plus 2, solve it. I know it's not 2 plus 2, it's definitely
yeah.
more
There are several
complicated
steps,
than that.
but one. I meant to what I meant to say was that there isn't even a question yet.
Yeah.
I mean to say, before you do anything, there needs to be some political ground for it. Basically, people are talking about it. Yeah, they are concerned about it. Then the legislature decides, yeah, this is an election talking point, and I will raise it.
My problem isn't with reservation as such. My problem is with why it is not working for many communities. Why are they still downtrodden? We need to figure out that out and then target those, whatever it is, your reservation or whatever your schemes are, to target or make it structure it in a package for these particular communities so that they can get those benefits if they are not getting them currently. My That is my only issue. Why is it ineffective? My problem isn't that it is there. My problem is why the fuck is it ineffective? Why is it not helping more people?
Because
That is something for the government to find out and for the people to find out. Okay, the question isn't this part Sharma here isn't saying that it shouldn't be there. My problem is why is it not
no,
effective?
I think that the system needs to go.
I just solve that thing. Na? Go solve that problem. Why is that not effective?
You know, I think that you'll get nothing out of it.
No.
It's
It's such a big question. Na?
it's simple free market logic that no, you simply cannot give handout privileges and not to one group and not expect the other group to either to be jealous of it and to be berating the other group for having the privileges.
One thing that I did get like when I moved about right from Chandigarh now.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is I don't know what the society is. That's something like I don't like. I was talking to one of my friends and like I don't like talking about this stuff because this stuff like I love talking about EV and all those things because that is something different. That's interesting. I don't like talking about these things because this is such a deep like stinking hole, right? Which does if you will create arguments and you won't win because you don't have because there are so many moving parts for this entire thing is that you'll just give up and you're like yeah fuck this shit I'm out. You'll just do that. He was asking me about this and I like man I've done this my entire life and now I'm so tired of this I've started losing hair now. I'm not going to discuss these things anymore. I'm like that's what I told him. I was like yeah
and
I'm
the major
out.
problem is one who is not well versed with the history of
I don't
affirmative action. It is hard to argue with him because see India is not a unique institution to have give special treatment to certain groups and the same is the case with Malaysia, same is the case with Sri Lanka and African Americans in the United States. These three, if one makes a case study of these three communities, then you will find the amazing parallels that are happening in India and why the systems have failed there, and even tinkering with the system won't solve the problem.
Is it that what are you trying to achieve? That's the thing, right? What are you trying to achieve? If you're trying to change here's the thing with especially like for what races in America, caste is in India, right? If you're not able to change people's mindset about other people's, like if people are still thinking about that with that lens of the 18th century about other people, then you cannot do anything about it. Whatever might come, whatever affirmative action, whatever you put into policy, it won't help. You need to attack that problem first. once, and that is something you do very carefully in a very surgical way.
I think that it's not none of the government's business to interfere. Let market forces take over. I think that I think I can make the case that government has worsened the problem by providing reservation.
I don't. No.
Yeah.
I think many people did get opportunities that they needed.
Yeah, and then they jammed the whole system.
My only thing is, my only thing with this is that people that are really downtrodden because of their caste are really downtrodden because of their caste.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not whitewashing that there is no caste discrimination. What I'm trying to say is that equal opportunity by legislation. No, what am I? How should I phrase? Yeah, forced equal opportunity by giving special opportunity to someone won't work.
That's that's also like the case, right? For the cricket team and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So and the best thing to answer for that is, and somebody gave a very good answer for it, is the answer is not reservation. The answer is to give these communities a chance to basically,
Yeah, I think
invest in it.
The best solution is if to make it harder to discriminate. That's it.
Yeah.
Make it harder. That the only solution is that improve the justice system, and if anyone faces injustice, that he has a redressal system that can address his problem, and it can make it tougher for other individuals to try it again.
My only problem with this is, like, if you go to a village, right, in Maharashtra or whatever, or in Madhya Pradesh or wherever, there still is, like, when we go to Punjab, a village in Punjab, I go to a village in Punjab, I haven't seen that much of a difference between any individual, right?
Yeah,
for me, the entire village is the same, like, kind of a thing. When you get go there, you get that vibe, right? But when I went to these villages, or whenever people who go to these villages tell about things, you'll find that there's, like, for people who are the so-called whatever we'll consider the low caste, they'll have a separate, let's say, settlement from the village. So these things, what the fuck? What is this? Yeah.
गाड़ी है कोई.
That's like people should get their timing bells replaced.
कौन काट दूँगा मैं इसको पीछे.
Anywho, the thing is that बोलूँ या ना बोलूँ?
बोलता रहा कोई नहीं इतना नहीं कैच कर रहा.
Like, that's the thing, right? Yeah. Thank God. Might go to the mechanic. Anywho, so मैं क्या करता? The thing is that these people are intrinsically not in the community, and that's a problem. And if you're not accepting of somebody's caste, then that's a problem. And that cannot be solved with reservation or whatever. It won't be solved unless people change their mindset as such.
See, I'll take over from the point that you said about what races in the United States that caste is in India. Somewhat, not completely. Not completely. Yeah.
You can draw some parallels.
Some parallels, yeah. So basically, the story of that many viewers don't know about the Black history after post-slavery is that by the 1930s they were doing very well.
They were flourishing as a
community. Yeah, even under Jim Crow system, they were doing significantly well in the economic sphere. As compared to what they did after the civil rights legislation.
Yeah. Even though that was important.
Yeah,
the welfare system.
Before the welfare system.
Yeah.
So what the welfare system, what happens is that to give the viewers the story that when African Americans were freed from slavery, they had nothing. They had no property. They themselves were property. How did they hold property? So they had no property. They had no connections. They had no they had no political representation. But still, over a period of time, what happened was that they became the cheapest labor available in the market in the southern United States. So a majority of the construction workers, agricultural workers were still African Americans, and they outcompeted in the labor prices with two other communities. So in this way, over a period of generations, they migrated and were doing well.
They accumulated wealth.
Yeah, they accumulated wealth, and that too in the presence of a relatively hostile political environment.
Yeah, down in South.
Yeah, because economics doesn't care about your political leanings. It is simply about a question of what will make me better money and what will cost me cheaper and what will save me money and what will get me more money. Yeah, so the construction workers were majority blacks. But what happened with the special privileges was that you started minimum wage law, and the minimum wage law and granting special privileges and welfare and minimum wage law resulted in pricing out the cheap labor that was provided by the African Americans. And while the welfare system attacked the family institution of family in African American communities, which led to increase in single parenthood, and single parenthood resulting in rise in delinquency and subsequent rise in crime in the African ghettos that are present in the United States. And minimum wage law resulted in organizations deciding that hiring cheap labor is simply unaffordable. So we can't they simply priced out the young African youth out of getting low-skilled employment opportunities.
Yeah, but
so what I'm trying to say is that this is how good intentioned legislation like minimum wage and welfare and talking about affirmative action in colleges. So earlier Thomas Sowell told the story that when he became a professor in University of Chicago, I think some major university, he did his PhD from University of Chicago. So when he became a professor, all the students respected him when he started. The affirmative action hadn't caught up yet. So students gave him special respect because they thought that if he's a black professor, he's some goddamn good black professor. That's why I mean to say that he's very special. That's why he has gotten selected as to teach them. But when the affirmative action teachers came along, the respect was lost because they thought that you haven't come here through merit. You have come out through political privileges.
Yeah,
and I heard these stories and thought, yeah, similar thing is taking place in India.
You might be talented, might be good, but people still
it happens.
Will cast a doubt on you.
Yeah, in government organizations, I have heard these stories that those government institutions have reservations. So government employment has a reservation. So the one who have a reservation, they are what I should say. They are not given preferences while giving promotions because that is where the legislation ends.
No, actually it is like I think there is a reservation, internal reservation as such in promotion as well. That
they have extended it. But one of my friends, schoolmates, you must know him, Devang. He told me that.
Don't take names down.
I don't
Never
think.
Take names.
Anyway, I don't think I spoke it that clearly. So if you're not going to so he told about that. How I was making fun of him that you must get a hell lot of privileges because of the reservation, and he said he shrugged off and said no, it's not that straight, and there is internal politics going on which ensures that no unfair advantages obtained because of reservation. Yes, so the point is that these leftist legislators think that we simply have to legislate the problem out of
it never happens.
Out of the system. It doesn't happen because humans react to the legislation. It is not like they are robots that you pass a legislation and it gets encoded in their system.
It's basically the Daryl Davis argument, right? You have to change perception.
Yeah.
You cannot change opinion. You have to change perception, and I think that's where everything went wrong. That's where everything goes wrong. The government should be in the business of changing people's perspective. And I'm not, they already do, right? They shout out yeah, Modi ji zindabad or Kejriwal ji zindabad or whatever the fuck. They do that very well. I'm talking about real groundwork of helping people. They should actually be in the business of changing perspective. The way Daryl Davis does with clan members. I'm not saying...
No, I don't think it should be the job of the government should be simply maintaining law and order.
That is the libertarian view.
I'm serious about it. See, you think here is the drawback of what you're thinking of. I get it. It is well intentioned that government should change perception. Yeah, I get it.
I'm with
But
you in the
but depends on who is in the government. If
yeah.
some crazy maniacs decided no, this is the right perception and this is what I'm going to. That's what was happening in India prior to free market opening and to 2014.
Yeah, it's basically communism, right? At
Yeah.
that point of time. But no, I'm with you in the case of libertarianism. I think that the government should not be in the business of doing anything. They
Yeah.
should only be law and order.
Yeah, maintain
And
law
a
and order.
good justice system so that
Yeah, that's
nothing
a part
falls
of law
around.
and order.
Yeah. So law and order, defense.
That's it. That's
and defense,
Yeah,
defense,
defense.
and foreign affairs.
Yeah, you cannot privatize
And
defense.
just clean up the whatever, man. You know, in regular civic duties that you have, small civic duties. Just
Yeah.
do that and be on your merry way, and I'll be on my merry way.
Yeah, do a
But
goddamn
the,
job.
The only
Nah.
thing is that we are here right now, and that is a fairyland that we want. You know that should exist. So we're not there anymore. So it's like might as well if we're in this shit.
This
We're
is,
paying
when
40% income tax.
When I talk about things, my goal is to at least someone listening that he gets the idea. Oh, someone else is also thinking about it as well. The point is to initiate the conversation. Maybe it will come. Maybe it will not come. I reckon systems are created through the forces they are operating in, the economic forces, the cultural forces, the political forces. But change come through the small seeds that come in between and slowly grow and take over. So this is like our seed.
It's like there was this, no, it's a very old interview. I don't know where I saw it. I think it was Bloomberg or something. And there was this, there was just question. I think it was before the 2014 election, right? The first time the BJP government came in power. And they were just interviewing some hedge fund manager who was also an FI in the Indian markets, like invested in the Indian markets, foreign investors, one of those people. And he asked, like, what is your opinion on India, right? As such, what do you think what India is? And he said, India is like in the wild west stage of what the United States was. Like, we are in that wild west stage. We're still a young country, 80 years. It's not that much long ago. And so, like, India is still in that wild west stage. The only thing is that they have reached that wild west stage in the modern times. So there's a lot to catch up to, and there's a lot of things that are happening. So it's just a lot of things that so many factors, so many things that happen at the same time that it's just weird. It's just a crazy amalgamation of whatever cocktail it is that India is today. But we delved too deep in that hole. But now let's come back to, is Indian military equipment even fair? Well, let's say is it even good enough after seeing that the Russians just got their asses handed to them by the Ukrainians? So that is my third major concern. Like, we have a lot of that shit, man. That isn't working down in Ukraine today.
Yeah, and
we
we are too late to the party to start our own manufacturing.
Now it turns out why the fuck it was cheap. That's the reason why it was
They
cheap.
compromised on quality.
They compromise on every fucking thing. See,
I have heard that they use Chinese electronics in there.
I don't know what they use, man. The only thing is that I'm scared right now. Like, what the fuck? You couldn't take over a fucking country. Like, you're the third most powerful nation in the world.
Yeah, you all this time you were just bluffing your way.
Yeah, you couldn't take over the Ukrainians, and fucking Modern Warfare 3, they're showing that the Russian army has reached Paris or something. Like, what the fuck? They could fucking reach Kyiv.
Yeah.
And
It has been almost a month yet.
Dude, talk about the radar signatures on a Su-30 MKI. I thought that it was a good plane. Now I'm fucking scared.
Yeah.
With 272 fucking planes, the Indian Air Force.
That won't save the day.
That won't save the day. These fuckers will fall out of the sky in 10 fucking days. What the fuck will we do? Fly Spitfires or something out of the museum? It's scary, man. The only good thing is that we're not fucking enemies with the Americans. I know the Chinese have the same shit that the Russians do. So, that's not much of a problem with me.
Oh, and the interesting thing is, what if even the Chinese are bluffing?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that their shit doesn't work too.
But the problem is what if we are also bluffing?
Everyone, see, that's the thing. Like, we are already exposed now. We are using the Russian shit, so it doesn't work anyway. The only thing is that I'm hoping that the Chinese are bluffing too. That their shit doesn't work as well. That's my deep hope that your shit doesn't work too. Your stealth fighter isn't that
But
stealthy.
one thing I can say for sure, Pakistan is bluffing.
Pakistan doesn't have shit,
Pakistan
man.
is definitely bluffing.
Dude,
Missile entered their territory and
they didn't even know about it.
Yeah, and they
Somebody
were
reported to the police. There's
yeah,
something
and
happening.
they were just hoping that hope it doesn't carry any
It
explosive
isn't
material
armed,
yet.
it isn't
Yeah.
armed. And the problem is that we also fucked up in our part. There's just they say that a group captain is responsible. Preliminary reports show that the group captain is responsible for the whatever the fuck, man. It shouldn't have gone there, and it's something because it still has technology that you wouldn't want Pakistanis to have. So and still, it should have self-destruct fucking button at least, like blow it up or something.
I think our best bet is Israel. United States will also always be a diplomatic problem. It has its own agenda, but I think Israel will cooperate with us.
I think the only thing is that tank warfare has now been debunked. It's a thing of the past. It's no longer important anymore. That's what the Ukrainian army taught me.
Only
if you have
effective
anti-tank weapons, everything is done for. And the problem with India is we don't have effective anti-tank weapons. We don't have effective anti-tank weapons. We don't have the Javelin. We don't have the NLAW, which is the European version of the Javelin.
Yeah,
we don't have the spike missiles.
there were memes that tractors, Ukrainian tractors are.
Dude, the Russian army, they were so. I don't know, man, who the fuck these people were. This is in the Russian army that was there in 1945 or even in the Cold War when they were not being even fed like properly. They were not even being given food properly. They were still a force to reckon with. I don't know what the hell they are doing right now. I don't understand this. You're not able to take over. Like you have this huge navy and you cannot take over. I think one thing that I do think what the Ukrainians did very intelligently was they knew that because Ukraine is basically plains, right? The Great Plains.
Yeah.
So they knew that in an open tank battle or whatever, in a blitzkrieg kind of a situation, they'll fucking lose. They focused on, let's say, collecting or concentrating their forces in the urban centers. Like we'll hold these, hunker down in these urban centers. We'll keep our tanks and whatever safe. And you will hunker down these urban centers because these are the main fighting points. This is where they need to make an impact. Even if you take over the entire country, but you cannot choke out these urban centers, you don't have control of the country, right? So you want to watch, the Russians want to watch tanks roll down in downtown Kiev. The Russian tanks roll down downtown Kiev. If you cannot do that, you haven't practically won the war. So I think that's what they did good. They saved their assets for another day, and now they are fighting the Russians in this way that they cannot even afford to, blitzkrieg through a fucking city or something. The only way you can do that is how the Russians or how the Germans used to do in World War II, like blow everything to shit and then move in. I think props to them, man. They really did good against the Russians in this situation. But the only thing is like, why were you so badly trained? That's my entire thing. Like, this is what rust is. This is what war rust is, right? Like, why were you so badly trained? That I saw Russian soldiers like were fatter than me.
Always fatter.
We were discussing that Russian soldiers were fatter than me.
Yeah.
Sorry about the interruption or whatever. I had a very useless call. Anywho, yeah. So man, like you're not well trained. I'm not no person to judge, right? I'm not fighting that war, but still, like if you look at let's say an effective soldier or a troop, like a troop deployment, it didn't look like an effective troop. It was like it's a shit show, man. It's like let's be honest, it's a shit show, and I don't know what the Russians are doing, and they've embarrassed themselves, man. They've embarrassed themselves, and the Chinese, by God, I'm telling you, the Chinese are praying that they do not get into a conflict. They're praying that they don't.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that with the Indians or anything. Like I think every single modern army today is like scared shitless. Like, oh my, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like if we are embarrassed like this, think about it. The Chinese try to invade Taiwan and get the shit kicked out of them in Taiwan. If that happens, it's like it'll be very embarrassing for you. So I think everybody is looking at their options right now. Okay, can we solve this without blowing some shit up? And can we do that? Maybe. I don't know. Stuff like that is happening. I think every single leader is thinking about this. That's why the Chinese foreign minister just came back. Like, man, how are you doing, man? After 2 years.
Yeah.
Those were fun times.
Yeah, and he came by force. He wasn't invited here.
Like, I want to come.
Yeah.
I want to come. You don't want to fight, man. With the same shit. You agree?
Yeah.
Fight,
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. Yeah, maybe they are thinking
maybe
like...
they both are scared shitless. Maybe the Indian Prime Minister and the Chinese Premier are like, oh, fuck. We own the same shit.
Yeah.
What the fuck? We thought we'll be effective against each other, and they're like, okay, man, let's calm down. Let's
Yeah.
calm down, and let's make an agreement that we won't fucking fight. Because if we do, we'll be embarrassed at the world stage.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you got the deal, man. You got the deal. We won't do that. It's one thing hitting out Pakistan, man. They're just like a joke of a nation.
Pakistan.
Yeah, joke of a nation. Like, but we won't be discussing Pakistan at extent because I'm tired of doing that. But the thing is that
Yeah, Pakistan is too.
like,
It's
why-
a joke. Yeah.
yeah,
Best
whatever.
kind
Just
of
leave it aside. The only thing
Yeah.
is that, you know, this is
Dollar to Pakistani rupee right now is I think 180 or 190.
we're not discussing what I'm trying to say is that we're not discussing it. It's a waste of time. The only thing is that, you know, this is my conspiracy theory that what if both of them came like, okay, are we
Yeah.
like in a binding agreement that we won't fight?
Yeah.
Yeah. Until unless we make everything like French and American, and you're like, yeah, until unless we make shit up too. They're like, yeah, okay, fine, it's fine. Yeah, we'll do that. Do I know one simple thing. I think a week ago, 2 weeks ago, because we are also going to order around 114 or something in the MMRCA 2 contract, right? We're gonna be buying new planes, right? Paraplanes, and like there's a huge chatter of like, okay, we're gonna buy the F-15. We're gonna buy the F-15. The Sukhoi 35, the MiG-35. They're not even in the conversation of, you know, coming close to a contract with India, even though they're like, so like a Rafale costs around 80-90 million dollars a pop. And a Sukhoi or something, they cost around 40 to 50. It's very cheap. It's like almost half the price, and still they're not even in the conversation of, okay, you might buy this. Not even the conversation like, okay. So I think everybody is woken up to it, like, okay, we need to buy new shit, we need to buy new stuff, and they're like, oh, what do we look at? Let's buy the F-15. I think India will buy the F-15. I'm thinking about it. I'm very positive about it because the Rafale is quite expensive. F-15 is, I think, a bit less expensive than the Rafale, and you know the Americans are happy because you bought shit from them. And
Yeah.
I think India should be looking at their carrier fleet as well now. Like Vikramaditya, you have MiG-29Ks, don't even have fucking Su-33s. So think about changing that as well, maybe.
It is also a lesson for the military strategists and students that it's not just that you have basic equipment will do the job. No, basic equipment won't do the job.
It's no,
Yeah,
it's-
they are strategists who think that buy the Chinese helicopter, even they can work. They can do the job. You just need a flying machine around. No, that's not how things work. Yeah.
Dude, the only thing is that we need to, you know, make shit quite fast now.
Yeah.
It needs to be fast tracked. And things are changing.
Yeah, tech supremacy matters.
Things are changing for the better, and I'm happy about it that, you know, the AMCA project, that's the 5th and 5.5 generation fighter aircraft of the Indian Air Force, that DHL is developing now. And they are like, okay, 24, 23, we have the target of a prototype flying, and by 2030, serial production starts for the plane, and that's a good thing. And okay, at least we're moving at a faster pace than we were before. But it's like, okay, we need to back down the Russian equipment now. Like our entire helicopter fleet is Russian, Mi-17 V5s. Okay, we need a new alternative now. It's high time. It's high time. We need to change that shit. So find something else and, you know, start inducting it into the military. Chinook was a good induction, but you need to find new stuff now. We need to do that right now because we know that that is ineffective. We've seen the Russian equipment has been ineffective, you know, by a huge margin now. So unless there are secret American airborne troopers fighting in the Ukraine, I don't see a reason why the Russians were so fucked up in the military. From the military standpoint, like why they were, it's become so difficult for them to win. So figure the shit out as soon as possible. That is my advice because we need to do that. Think about it. Like, you think? I don't know. I've never. My main concern is I'm going to go for a sneeze. I'm sorry, but my main concern is, can you, like, I don't know anything about aircraft carriers that much, but can you like change the entire aircraft fleet? Like if you're like, okay, we don't want MiG-29s now. Can you?
I have a concern that it's a tech based concern that see the it's not like the ship the weapons or the carriers or anything, any equipment. It's basically connected through. I mean, the software component and the information exchange component is involved, basically internet or something, the wireless. And these components are hackable.
Yeah.
These components are hackable, and hackable as well as unilaterally they can be controlled by one side. So what I'm trying to point out is that there can be sneaky ways in which the company, the party that you are buying from, has overwhelming control over it. So what I'm trying to say is that what if the United States, we buy weapons from the United States, weapons and ships and airplane fighter jets from
You
the
never
United
buy
States.
ships from the US. You should never buy ships from the
I
US.
would say anything you buy from the United States, it comes with a high tech ICT, information communication technology equipment. Yeah, and what if there is a back channel that even
That is a very big conspiracy theory, like
No,
the
I
Americans say. And,
see how they cut off the Russian legs in literally every tech sphere. Apple has decided not to do business in
one
Russia.
simple thing is, I'll tell you this, right? Like every single airplane that is being built, for example, like say the American airplane that is being built or anything, uses some or the other component that is built in another country. So you cannot completely.
I think that increases the fragile.
Like a lot of shit that is now being put in American warplanes is being built by Tata's or someone else. Like Boeing just gave a huge contract to one of India's auto manufacturers, OEM manufacturer, auto component manufacturers, auto ancillary tier one. They gave it for this for a let's say civilian for the civilian side of Boeing. But the thing is that there are many plants in India, in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and in Pune, which build systems for the Apache attack helicopters and C-17 Globemasters and stuff like that, and which are exported to the US. So it's not like now the world is so very much
Yeah, what I'm saying is that I don't think it is a safe bet that
to buy American equipment.
no, not buy American equipment. That there is a that the most important things are not indigenously manufactured.
That is a huge problem. That I'll agree with you. But the thing is that we are not in a situation in which we can, manufacture everything that we want.
If you put behind the will, everything can be done. I'm just saying that
Not in-
it is an existential problem basically.
Yeah,
So
right now we have an existential problem that a lot of our shit is Russian, and we are around 10 to 20 years away from being self-dependent in every single sphere of military equipment, right?
yeah, and it is a long span when in these fast changing times.
Look at this thing. Like we have the independent propulsion system that we've developed it on us by ourselves. Now we have more stealthy diesel electric submarines, right? So we've built that. We can build our own ships. That's a good thing. We have our own anti-ship missile capabilities. That's a good thing. So we have come a long way, and we'll be doing that, and it'll take around 10 to 20 more years in being completely indigenous. But the thing is, 20 years is a long time. 20, 30 years is a long time, and for those technologies to properly work as well, it's going to take longer. So you need to bridge that gap right now, where you have equipment that is subpar and isn't that well made.
Yeah, you cannot
To be
sleep
honest.
over it. Yeah,
You need
just
something to bridge
kick the
that
can
gap.
and someone
Yeah,
else will
you
do
need
it.
to bridge that gap right fucking now. And what will you do? That's the thing. Okay, go Russian. Sorry, Russian is not an option. Neither is Chinese. So go American, go French, or go British. And the fourth one is Israeli, but the Israelis don't have everything. They don't build everything, right? They still buy planes from the Americans and everything.
What I was thinking about the Israeli plan was that Israel can use the human capital and techno of Israel and the scale of India. Maybe it can be one of the best defense partnerships.
Might be. I'm not refuting that. I'm just saying that
And when Israel is a partner, United States automatically
it
becomes a
becomes
partner.
a partner.
Yeah.
So,
But I think that we should place our
Bets
eggs in the basket of Israel rather than United States. Yeah, because United States had other commitment as well, but Israel and India share a common political and spiritual goal.
The only thing is that you need, for example, you need fighter aircrafts for the Air Force, right? What are you going to do? Either go to the Americans, you go to the French, or you go to the Swedes. These are the only three options.
Or maybe jump the ship and decide to go direct for fighter drones that Israel is very much capable of.
Dude, fighter drones aren't the option right now. It's a possibility later, but it's not currently a possibility. You need fighter aircrafts in the air to be very effective for air superiority. So who will you go to? You go to the Americans, the French, or the Swedes. Those are the three options available to you. Or you go to the Europeans for the Typhoon, but Typhoon is like a machine of a bygone era now. So they are moving with their 5.5 generation, 6th generation fighter aircraft. And even if Typhoon is the answer, the British are now, rapidly inducting the F-35s into their fleet. So even they don't think the Typhoon is the answer. So either you have the Rafale, you have the Gripen, you have the F-15. These are the three options that you have. Or you have the F-21, F-16s, updated brother, the Fighting Falcons, updated brother. So these are the four options that you have.
But one thing needs to be ensured that no contract goes to Turkey. Under no circumstances any contact goes to Turkey.
Yeah. No, it's just
Hostile son of a bitch nation.
good food though. Good food. But yeah, that's the thing. That's the entire
Caliphate, trying to establish the new caliphate.
it's just a president over his head. That's the only thing that Turkey is. But that's my entire issue with it. Like, okay, what are you going to buy? What are you going to buy? You need fighter airplanes, right? And fighter airplanes is just one simple thing. You need transport airplanes. You need fuel tankers. You need AWACS. You need this is just the Air Force.
The indicator that the times are so require so much changes that even Japanese are leaving their policy, rethinking their policy of pacifism.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? There are so many moving parts now. India needs a light tank.
Mm-hmm.
It needs it now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need a light tank, whom do you go with? Now there are Korean, there's some Korean designs out there, and there's the Russian design now.
I wanted to ask, how's the status of Koreans? They are entirely dependent on American equipment, or they have built their own technology?
Air Force is American. Basically, the entire Western Air Force is American.
No, these countries like Samsung, Hyundai,
They do build like the self-propelled artillery gun that we do have, the Vajra K50.
Mm-hmm.
And that is built by Samsung, or I don't know who builds it, but they had a paid partnership with L&T, and then through transfer technology they built it in India. So they have some of their own systems, and the light tank as well. There's a Korean light tank that India is thinking of, inducting in the Indian Army through transfer technology to build our own light tanks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that they're not completely dependent, but they are still dependent. As such, the US is the biggest arms dealer in the world. You can never be completely independent of the Americans. The people who are independent of the Americans are Iran and North Korea, and they are fucking flying planes from bygone eras. So
yeah, they're like fighting with sticks.
the Iranians are still flying the F-14 Tomcat. It's a beautiful plane, but what the fuck? Still, so the Iranian military sometimes it's so funny, man. The North Koreans and the Iranians. Their military looks like, Minion army or something. Like, what the hell are you armed with?
Even Taliban is better equipment.
Taliban is better equipped than Iran. But that's the thing. So you can never be completely independent from the US. Unless if you're buying Russian, then you are. But would you want to buy Russian now?
Yeah,
no, man.
The test showed that it failed the test.
Yeah. It's like, I'd think twice before buying vodka. Though I don't, but still, if I had to, I'll go with something American instead. American vodka.
Yeah. American vodka.
Truly American. Yes.
Made in Cuba. Or maybe American vodka made in Ireland.
Made in Ireland. Or made in Tennessee or something. But yeah, I don't know. I think this should be ringing alarm bells for the Indian military establishment right now. What they saw in Ukraine. It should be that. They're like, oh, shit. Like, Chief of Army Staff should be like up and awake like at 3 a.m.
It is come to Indians are, I think, like how guns are common for conversation of US men. But Indians, most of our knowledge is most of our gun knowledge ends with maybe AK-47 is the one who knows AK-47 is a high tier intellectual in weapons, and one who knows Desi Katta.
Yeah.
What I'm pointing out is that we simply don't have the knowledge or excitement in the population to.
Dude, that's why it's so funny. It's like that's why I don't watch movies anymore.
Yeah.
Because they're so over the top, and you're like, okay, I cannot watch this. And it's not just Bollywood; it's Hollywood as well. It's so fucking ridiculous that you're like, what the really? This is happening. And I never served in the military, and neither am I in any position to serve in the military. But I'm thinking about people who did serve in the military. Like, oh man, for them it's fucking torture watching that stuff. And like, oh, okay, well, did it happen like that? No, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, so we simply are. We still have our faith in the muscles of our men rather than the guns they hold.
See, here's the thing.
Yeah, and this narrative that bina khadak, bina dal, dila di hame azadi. Mahatma Gandhi by a stick.
Sorry.
Mahatma Gandhi by a stick ran out of the British Empire.
whatever that is. I
Yeah,
don't
I don't think it will it will work for the Chinese or any
Yeah, for the British, it was a huge liability, man. Geographically, it's too far away and everything. And yeah, but still, I don't know. I think it should be ringing alarm bells for everyone in the Indian military. And it's like, okay, what are we doing?
Yes, software prowess can take you only that far, but hard military technology is basically the hardcore engineering at its highest.
Dude, we were thinking of leasing another Russian nuclear submarine. And a Kula class submarine. We were thinking about doing that. Even though they were amazing. I'm not arguing that they were the best out there. But the only thing is, would you take that chance now? That's the only thing. It's not that the Russian equipment will be bad in every sphere. The only thing is that would you take that chance now? That's the only thing. They'll have that question in their mind. Is it good enough though? Will you take that chance? That's the only thing. The people lost faith in the Black Hawk helicopter when it fell in Mogadishu twice so fast, and is like, oh wow. So for the Russians, this is irreparable. They'll have to fucking send one of their planes to the moon to make up for the shit.
To get the PR
make
back.
up for the shit. So
Yeah, if tractors are more effective than your tanks, then they are
that
questionable.
was a logistical issue. 'Cause the fuel never reached these people. But that's the problem, right? This entire plan was fugazi. It was from beginning to end. Like, they didn't have food, they didn't have fuel, they had nothing, and the Russian soldiers didn't know that they were about to go to a war. Like, half of
Yeah,
them
they were
crying.
thinking it was just a small
It was a training exercise or
2
something
week
like-
excursion, and then we'll be back to our
We'll be
homes.
back. Like, literally, you're doing that. This shows that.
I was thinking that the way the Putin was proclaiming the war, I thought that maybe he planned to end it in 3 days
in
or a
3-4
week.
days. I thought
Yeah.
it was going to be a Bangladesh or something like.
Yeah.
Indo-Pak War 71. I really thought it was going to be that, and it didn't pan out. You
Yeah,
cut
I know
them off.
it's day 28, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and you surrounded them from 3 fucking sides. You couldn't do it. It's like it's.
It has been a huge drag out. I think the most of the action took place in the first 3-4 days, and then
And
it has
now
mostly been a drag out since then.
Fuck man, it's just embarrassing, and I think it also shows that how much grip does Putin have on his own government. Like, if the troops were like, what the fuck, we're going to fight a war, and they didn't know that they were going to fight a war, it shows that you are losing support. I think it's the end of Putin now. For me it is, because if his advisors are leaving, the central bank governor wants to leave. One of his advisors recently just left Russia. He just resigned and left Russia.
I wasn't aware of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
so it's like, I think he is losing power. Either he has lost his mind, because if Russia is embarrassed here at the end of this war, I think it'll be a change of leadership in Moscow, because
Yeah, earlier people were thinking
this is
they'll gobble up Ukraine, but now maybe the tides would turn and
Dude, one thing that I do know is that most of the Russians don't like this war, but even if you are a staunch Putin supporter, you're actually not a Putin supporter, because what Putin sold to the people was a strong Russia, right? So you're basically a strong Russia supporter. And when you're looking at this, you're like, what the? Like, really? This guy is a fucking fraud? And you think, we should get someone else there now. So you're losing basically your entire support base.
I was thinking that what if the West decides now, time's up, we should come and end the suffering of the Russians and
Assassinate Putin? It's difficult.
maybe assassinate Putin is the second step, but the first step is that throw the Russians out of Ukraine.
Dude, like, they don't want to fight. The Americans are also scared. Everyone is scared, right? That's the thing, right? Everyone is scared. What if we are the frauds? We are the next frauds. Think about the Americans. If they do enter Ukraine,
No, America won't be a fraud because it has been constantly in military conflict all over the world.
but it was beating shit out of third graders, no? There's a difference.
No, the terrain was different that time, but it won't have the same thing won't take place there.
Fighting a Russian army, a Russian Air Force is not going to be fighting the Iraqi Air Force.
Not the Iraqi Air Force, but definitely we cannot draw conclusion based on their results in Afghanistan.
No, I'm not talking about Afghanistan. I'm saying, okay, where was the last time you had like proper air-to-air combat and everything? You had to face SAMs and everything. You had to face a proper military. Was Iraq. That was the last time the Americans did it, right? That was the only time they did it. And it was Iraq. Now it's the Russians. And if you also, come out to be like you're losing fucking F-16s, like people lose whatever, like newspapers are flying out of windows stuff. The way that's the way you're losing F-16s in dogfights. So then that will be like, oh, we're frauds too. Didn't know that. So I think everyone is scared of
And even the bigger thing, the public will realize that all these big spendings are bullshit.
Like, yeah, your military equipment doesn't work. Why the fuck does it cost $800 billion every year then?
Yeah.
Dude.
Here I am struggling to pay my student loan, and all you are spending on is expensive toys.
Dude, the funniest shit is about the Poland incident. You remember, right? Like the
Which
Americans, because Ukrainian pilots basically are trained on MiG-29 Fulcrums. So they are like, okay, we'll just give them, which is the other Western nation that flies the MiG-29, other than the Indians. India is not a Western nation, but still an ally. But what other Western nations or NATO nations fly the MiG-29s? So the Polish, they fly the MiG-29s that they got from the East Germans. So the East when Germany was, let's say, they got back together, right? The reunification of Germany happened. So the East German Air Force had a lot of MiG-29s, and they used it as a enemy aircraft for training purposes. Later, the costs were like too high to maintain these MiG-29s, so they sold them for $1 or something to the Polish. And the Polish Air Force has been using the MiG-29s for a long time now. The only thing that they told the Americans told the Polish to give their MiG-29s to the Ukrainians, transfer them to the Ukrainians, and we'll give you our F-16s. And the Polish were like, the fuck would I do that? Because the Russians are on my border too, and they'll kick the shit out of me. And the US was like, we are behind you, don't worry about that. We got this shit, bro. And what the Polish did was like one of the smartest things I've ever seen someone do. Is like, okay, what we'll do is we'll hand over our MiG-29s at the Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany to the Americans. And whatever they want to do with it, they can do with it.
Yeah.
And that's their prerogative.
Our hands are clean now.
Our hands are clean now. And the Americans are like, the American Secretary of State, the Blinken guy, comes and says, I don't think the Ukrainians do need fighter aircraft. I think they just need service-to-air man-pads and stuff. Chicken, big chicken. You also scared of the Russians? It's like, no, I think the Polish president or prime minister should be calling Biden like, don't worry, do it, man. I got you, bro. I got your back.
You know what I'm scared of is that the wrong message that it is a Russian failure. It is a Russian strategic failure. The sanctions have nothing to do with it. But somehow the Democrats or maybe Biden and the Western leaders twisted the whole thing that we succeeded. See, we don't need to send our military anymore. We'll just sanction everyone.
It doesn't work that
way. They set the policy, the political messaging in this way that only we don't need to send military anymore. We'll just sanction our way to the
mainstream media is controlled
to the negotiation table.
The only thing is that and I think at the end of the day, it just came out like, okay, it was all about Ukraine joining NATO.
Yeah.
Right.
And
here is the fault of Zelensky, that you were so adamant for Ukraine to join NATO that this could have been avoided. This could have been avoided if he would have said, and now he's on the line of like, okay, we won't join NATO. That's what they wanted. That's what they want. And people are like, but Latvia is also on the Russian border and it is a NATO state. Dude, it's not so close to Moscow.
Yeah.
That's what the Russians are afraid of. Ukraine is quite close to their, major cities. That's what they're afraid of. If Ukraine goes to NATO, it's like fucking 1943 again, and it's Operation Barbarossa, and you cannot fucking get Stalin from somewhere now. He's already dead. So that's what they were afraid of. That's what they were trying to do with the eastern Ukrainian territories. Okay, they are independent now. They were trying to create that buffer zone. They need that buffer zone to feel safe. You're taking that safe place away from them, and that's what happened. Now this is on you. Zelensky should have been very careful with his words.
Yeah, but the propaganda media will somehow twist the entire thing, blame it on Russia, and make the heroes of the weakling Western leaders who just decided that no, the military effort isn't worth it. And I think there's a whole lot of wrong attribution of causes will take place.
I'll tell you one simple thing. If the American military was present or the NATO military elements were present in Ukraine, Russia wouldn't have never attacked.
Yeah.
You know why? Because Putin thought that this is the Ukrainian military, we'll take over them in a couple of days. But if there were NATO elements over there, they were like, oh, the fuck? Should we do this or should we not?
Yeah.
That would have been a possibility. That would have been a possible thought in their head. Like, okay.
Yeah, he would have some straight come to the negotiation table. Yeah, so.
Okay, we don't want this. We want.
Let's de-escalate and yeah.
They never did that. They should have done that.
But no one will talk about it, and the whole lot of leaders will get the wrong message that this is the new way to win a war.
It won't work. Sanction China all you want. You still need their.
Yeah,
everything.
Trump tried his best. Still, he wasn't able to break the will of the Chinese.
Yeah, obviously. But here's the thing: China itself is a sustainable economy, right? So that's going out for them. So.
Yeah, and military strategists also shouldn't get any wrong ideas that this is the end of warfare and no.
Yeah. No, it's the warfare, the play, the
and
way
and even also the political leaders shouldn't get the message that globalization is just a scam of the United States to ensure that it can run its economic warfare instead of military warfare.
I think
the anti-globalists will get the message that see, this is what happens when you enter the global markets.
The only thing is that I think this is really a signal of how warfare has changed. Basically, that there always was let's say an advantage to the defender. The defender always had the advantage in a fighting situation or scenario, because you basically as an invader or as a person on offense, you're invading, right? You're on the move. You're definitely not that accurate. You're not that let's say stable enough to fight back as such. And as a military element, if you're moving, you're definitely not that.
You're in foreign territory, basically.
Yeah, you're in foreign territory. Plus, you are an open target. But if you are a defender, you definitely have the advantage of being in a stable position and hitting people
and
down
the
low.
local support. Yeah.
So I think, but this changes the tables. This shows that defenders now have a huge advantage over the people on offense. So let's see how it works out, how it pans out, and we'll check back on it after a few years, I'd say, or a few months, a few days.
Yeah, we were thinking that we were thinking that it'll be over by the next weekend.
Yeah. So we'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, we were thinking that the picture will be more clear in 2 weeks maybe. But no, it has even got blurrier.
Yeah.
Negotiations are taking place between Ukraine and Russia, and no one's talking about them. Ukrainians are saying Russians are tough negotiators. Yeah, they are getting asked for a while. They will prolong as long as they hope that they can
win.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens, and I think that is the most cheerful note on which we should end this podcast. In this, I'd say, I don't know.
Yeah, it gives hope that that we were thinking that bye bye Taiwan. It's not that straight.
Yeah, it's quite difficult.
Yeah.
But bye bye the semiconductor industry. That is something that's still a possibility. But we'll see.
Who knows?
We'll see. Who knows? Yeah.
Who knows? But they have already started planning for it. But yeah,
That
bye bye Taiwan won't be that quick. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a different, let's say, thing to discuss it or in itself. Like, it's a huge issue in itself, and I think we've discussed it at length.
Yeah.
So, but let's see. Anyhow, I think that'll be enough.
That'll be over. Yeah. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you very much.